We're continuing with a journey to the west. We're now at the third stop, Rocky Mountain, the teachings His Holiness gave during his Dharma activities there. As I mentioned yesterday, these essentials of Peaceful Manjushri are truly something I personally feel has been very rewarding, especially in our current time, in this rather busy era. All the preliminary practices, from the precious human birth all the way to the supreme great perfection, including the 6 Bardos, all of these teachings are explained in just 1 or 2 sentences. So such pith instructions are quite rare among all that we've seen before. This rarity is not because they are few, but because they contain very profound content. The treatises composed by past masters are particularly numerous, there are many, but those that are especially essential and pithy are very rare. So when I was translating this, I really wanted in this lifetime to share these with you, even if just reading through it once, or even just mentioning it. Otherwise, some people might not discover it. Just like the analogy of herb gathering I mentioned earlier, I say, this place is wonderful. Take a look, there's treasure here. By pointing this out, perhaps wise people will see it. Otherwise, you might just read past it. Many pith instructions are like this. If no one explains them, you might just think, oh, okay, and read right past it. But each person, I suppose, receives different blessings and experiences. Perhaps some of you don't feel anything special. You can see for yourselves. I feel that these pith instructions are not exceptional because they're extensive, but because they're concise. Being concise, actually, we also know when we practice the 4 or 5 preliminary practices, practicing for so long, reading so many guidance texts. But ultimately, if in your mind stream you've truly developed conviction in the infallible law of cause and effect, that's already sufficient. The same is true if you've truly realized the preciousness of human birth, including taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. Ultimately, it comes down to just this much. This is what we call pith instructions. So I also hope that all of us here, the most profound pith instruction His Holiness Jigme Phuntsok gave in his lifetime is Peaceful Manjushri. This Peaceful Manjushri, no matter what, you should keep it with you at all times. We're also preparing to make available to everyone these previous teaching materials. If you have time to read them, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. But at least I remember the first time we taught, this was probably when His Holiness was still alive. Some people, starting from that time, have always kept Peaceful Manjushri with them. I think this is something we should all do. Now it's been 20 or 30 years and everyone has kept it with them all along. This also shows your faith in the great perfection. This is still very important. Next, we'll discuss first, visualize your body in its ordinary form, and in its central channel there is the wisdom fire lit by the force of the winds that purifies all impurities of the body into the Dharmadhatu. This is the completion stage of purifying the impurities. Then visualize yourself as the youthful Manjushri, and at the center of your body clearly visualize all the adornments of the winds, channels and bindus. This is the visualization stage of the winds, channels and bindus. Our winds, channels and bindus are quite complex. Here it's explained in 2 levels, the pure and the impure. Next, relying upon the movement of the wind in the channels, fire blazes fiercely at the point below the navel. Nectar begins to descend from the inverted syllable, hang at the crown, and that nectar fills the whole body. You rest in the indivisibility of emptiness and bliss. What is this? This is the actual visualization of the completion stage. The instruction on the completion stage has been expressed in such concise and essential words. The above 2 instructions on Guru Yoga and the completion stage correspond to the preliminary practices of secret mantrayana in general. Generally, Guru Yoga, His Holiness has also taught elsewhere, corresponds to the generation stage. And the completion stage here, these 2 stages of generation and completion, or Guru Yoga and completion stage, correspond to the entire secret mantrayana, including Mahayoga and Anuyoga, as well as the preliminary practices of the outer tantras. Through the skillful means of shamatha and vipassana, ascertain the true nature of the mind. Some are shamatha practices, some are vipassana practices. The skillful methods differ. For example, we search for the origin, location, and destination of the mind, distinguish between samsara and nirvana, chant the syllable hung, all the way to various contemplations, and so on. These uncommon preliminary practices of the great perfection, including the 4 great yogas and so on, are the uncommon preliminary practices unique to the great perfection tradition. Once, regarding the true nature of the mind, you don't merely rely on intellectual investigation or reasoning to understand it, but more importantly, relying on the Guru's pith instructions, you directly experience the nature of mind. This is the instruction on the actual practice of Trekcho. The instruction on Trekcho in the flight of Garuda is so extensive. When we gave the reading transmission earlier, Treasury of the Dharmadhatu also contains all the essential points of Trekcho. If we explain extensively, it's all of these. If we explain briefly, it's just this much. Not only relying on, but still relying on. Of course, some texts say you don't need to rely on it. But here, according to His Holiness, still relies on investigation, because Treasury of the Dharmadhatu and the flight of Garuda actually also involve investigation. There's still some investigation. At the same time, the main point is to directly perceive your mind's original nature. This is called the instruction on Trekcho. After that is the concluding practice of Tugal, which provides the supreme skillful means through which to purify the corporeal body into Buddha's body, perfect ordinary speech into Buddha's speech, and mature the Bindu into the great wisdom nature of mind. Here it mentions purify, perfect, mature. Purify, perfect, mature is a specific terminology from the Ornament of Clear Realization and other texts. Everyone should remember these are respectively the skillful means for Buddha's body, Buddha's speech, and Buddha's wisdom. This is the instruction on Tugal. The practice of Tugal, I gave you the reading transmission the other day, but to express all of this in one sentence is just like this. Relying upon the force of practicing Tugal, you will gradually perfect the 4 visions and manifest the 4 kayas and 5 wisdoms that are the innate inner qualities of mind's essence. This is the result of the great perfection in general. In view, meditation, conduct, and fruition, this is the fruition. The above are the instructions for achieving enlightenment in a single lifetime. Next we'll discuss the 4 Bardos or the 6 Bardos. The instruction on achieving liberation at the time of death is, when death arrives, visualize yourself as youthful Manjushri. Then, at the center of the Bindu in your heart, visualize your mind appearing as a white syllable, Ah. Chant Ah with a pleasing sound. Visualize that the Ah rises higher and higher from your heart, ascending ever higher, then shoots out of your crown and melts into the heart of the Guru Vajra Manjughosha seated above the crown of your head. Here, the Vajra Manjushri is sometimes Amitabha Buddha, but actually is a deity inseparable from the Guru and Amitabha Buddha, merge into his heart. Then the Guru ascends higher and higher, departing for the pure land of Sukhavati. Visualize this process repeatedly. This is the instruction on taking rebirth in Sukhavati at the time of death. We can also call this the instruction on the bardo of dying. When teaching the 6 bardos, the bardo of dying, during the bardo of dying, from when the signs of death appear to the final breath, this is the bardo of dying. In our Peaceful Manjushri, there's also this teaching. There's a slight difference here. Above the crown, it doesn't mention Amitabha Buddha, but Manjushri Bodhisattva. Everything else is the same. This is the instruction on the time of death. After death, in the Dharmata Bardo, inconceivable sounds, lights, brilliance, and the kayas of deities will appear. At that time, if you can recognize all those appearances as illusory, self-appearing phenomena and abide in that realization naturally, you will achieve fully enlightened Buddhahood. This is the instruction on the Dharmata Bardo. Many of us, if you don't understand what the Dharmata Bardo is or what the Bardo of dying is, His Holiness explains it to you in very simple language. The Dharmata Bardo, because if we didn't attain liberation during the earlier Bardo of dying, the Dharmata Bardo appears very briefly, like a flash of light. At this time, various appearances arise. If you can rest in that state without fear, without terror, naturally abiding, then you can attain liberation in the Dharmata Bardo. For the instruction on the Bardo of becoming, when the dreamlike signs of the 6 realms manifest, you should pray to your Guru. Recall and practice all the instructions for achieving liberation at the time of death that you have heard and practiced before. In this way, you will be liberated in the self-occurring Nirmanakaya pure realm. What is this? This is the instruction on the Bardo of becoming. Earlier at that time, the syllable hung appears. or various phenomena of the 6 realms. At this time you choose the womb entrance or pray to the guru. At that time it's very complex. Actually, when we die, it happens really fast. Sometimes these Bardo instructions, I hope everyone will prepare well for this. Otherwise we keep studying and studying, yet life is short. We have beautiful aspirations, but we don't know if they'll be realized. Many people's aspirations don't manifest. In our words of my perfect teacher, there's a line: seeking happiness, we suffer through this life. Seeking happiness, we actually experience suffering. May we develop renunciation towards samsara. Our lives are all like this, seeking happiness, yet experiencing suffering. We pursue a wonderful, happy life. Everyone is like this. They hope for things to be better and better, but in the end our entire lives are spent in suffering. So may we truly develop what towards samsara, renunciation. Actually, in this human world, there's really nothing worth being attached to, no matter what it is. Life seems so short and painful. There's nothing worth clinging to, no matter how much you desire, it's just this much. So for some of us who have ordained or study Buddhism, this is truly the best choice. I've never regretted it. When I used to visit some schools, many people asked, "Have you ever regretted your choice?" Honestly, I've never regretted my choice. I feel that although my practice isn't good and I'm lacking in every way, choosing this path has still been very beneficial. Without it, I would suffer more and be worse off. So I think for each of us, you see, His Holiness taught so many wonderful teachings here. If we cast all these teachings aside, then when we die, we'll die just like an ordinary yak or a dog dying, crying out in misery, afraid, terrified. If that happens after encountering these pith instructions, it would be such a pity. Anyway, you can reflect on this yourselves. I don't know what my own death will be like, but I still feel we should contemplate these things. This completes the 3 kinds of instructions for those of sharp faculties to attain liberation within this lifetime, for those of medium faculties to attain liberation in the Dharmata Bardo, and for those of inferior faculties to attain liberation in the pure realm of the self-occurring Nirmanakaya. These 3 kinds of instructions are truly taught brilliantly by His Holiness. I've always felt that it's not about, if we teach extensively, memorizing many quotations, memorizing many things. That would still be okay. I can also teach extensively. When I go to some schools, I can never finish each time. I make some mental preparation because I usually aim for about an hour. I feel if the talk is too long, because most school classes are 45 minutes, if you add another 15 minutes, that's about right. Then have a Q&A session. That works better. That's how I do it. But if I were to teach, teaching extensively would be fine. But teaching concisely, like covering words of my perfect teacher in 15 minutes, actually many people, including some of our Dharma teachers, when teaching, to gather all the key points together, that's very difficult. It requires linguistic eloquence and artistry. Without it, it's very hard. So when you have a chance, compare this with placing Buddhahood within reach, or the 6 Bardos, or finding comfort and ease in the nature of mind. See what His Holiness taught at that time. Thus, all the instructions on placing Buddhahood within reach have been introduced. The features of placing Buddhahood within reach. Next, His Holiness explains. There are 3 notable features of this practice manual: conciseness, completeness, and the endowment of profound blessing. What does conciseness mean? It means that this manual is short in length and clear in content. Such a text is rare to come across in India or the land of Tibet. What does completeness mean? In general, in order to practice all the essential key points involved in Buddhist teachings, this text is more comprehensive than other manuals. Especially, it expounds on the complete stages of the Buddhist path, from the preliminary practices of the 4 thoughts that turn the mind away from samsara to the main practices of achieving perfect enlightenment. It is a complete, faultless, and swift method for a practitioner to attain Buddhahood. What does the 3rd one, the endowment of profound blessing, mean? Just as all teachings of the great perfection are inconceivable and endowed with blessings. As I mentioned earlier, this peaceful Manjushri can grant liberation by simply seeing, hearing, touching, and recalling it, just like all great perfection teachings. This manual is replete with all these qualities. So everyone, after learning these teachings, if Peaceful Manjushri itself is a bit difficult, you can take these essentials of Peaceful Manjushri and make it into a small booklet. or a small slip and put it in your prayer book. That's also fine. Because nowadays many people are very lazy, especially afraid of having too much luggage, but they carry lots of random stuff. Some carry very few Dharma texts. Actually, it's better to carry more Dharma texts. In the past, we were quite poor. 1 yuan, 2 yuan, we'd save and save. Finally, when we had about 100 yuan, we'd go to Derge to buy a few books. Buying books back then was really different from buying books now. Back then, buying books was very, very difficult. So now with some of my Dharma texts, when I see them, I think, oh, this one I bought with such effort and dedication. That's what I think. Now it seems there are so many Dharma texts. So many Dharma friends don't buy physical texts anymore. They buy ebooks. Ebooks are also good. But I wonder if ebooks will last in the future. If they do last long term, then several books, dozens of books, can all be downloaded or stored. This is probably a good method. What I mean is, if you really feel this peaceful Manjushri is too heavy, or finding comfort and ease in the nature of mind, or Guru's heart drops, if carrying these great perfection texts is really impossible, then carry peaceful Manjushri. If even peaceful Manjushri feels too heavy, then just the essentials of peaceful Manjushri. Here, the precious human birth is explained in one sentence, impermanence in one sentence, the primordial purity of Dzogchen in one sentence, the 6 Bardos in 3 sentences. So this is really quite meaningful. This is what I think. Maybe you feel, no, this is just his own misunderstanding. That's a different matter. Especially this manual possesses 3 kinds of superiority, which are that it possesses the close lineage transmission, is free from obscurations caused by broken Samaya, and is intended for this time, these 3. First, what is the superiority of the close lineage transmission? Between Lord Manjushri and you, there is only one person, I myself. No one else separates you. So it is supreme in terms of a close lineage transmission. And they laughed again. They thought, between Manjushri and you, there's only me. Why did they laugh? Close lineage blessing. Indeed, Manjushri Bodhisattva transmitted directly to His Holiness, and then His Holiness transmitted to us. That's the meaning. The superiority of being free from obscurations caused by broken Samaya refers to the process of transmitting a tantric teaching from generation to generation. If in the middle there are conflicts between a guru and a disciple, or among Vajra brothers and sisters, if some conflicts arise, the blessings of the teaching will decrease or even disappear. But with this peaceful Manjushri teaching, since it was first transmitted, there has never been a Samaya breaker. There's never been any defilement in the lineage. This is its supreme quality. There's also the superiority of being intended for this time. Various Buddhist teachings are taught in accordance with different times for different beings. For instance, some teachings are taught at the beginning of an eon when people enjoy longevity and don't have gross afflictions, while some are taught during a time when beings of the degenerate age suffer from a short lifespan, illness, and strong mental afflictions. This teaching is intended for right now, our current degenerate age, especially now. If another few hundred years pass, I don't know if there might be some issues. It's like in our worldly life, after the freshness period passes, you need to make a new food product. Why did Padmasambhava have so many Terma treasures? This is also for different times. Padmasambhava's Terma teachings are like putting something in the freezer, then taking it out when needed. This way it's basically as good as fresh. You could say that. So some teachings can be brought out for different beings at the appropriate time. This peaceful Manjushri teaching is especially intended for us right now, especially for people living in big cities who are extremely busy with complex minds, who don't want to read many books, who don't want to practice many teachings, who just want one pithy instruction, just a bit of pith instruction to attain Buddhahood, who eat a lot, sleep a lot, who don't want to practice, don't want to memorize, don't want to read, such lazy beings with heavy afflictions. For them, peaceful Manjushri is extremely beneficial. Like the proper medicine prescribed for a specific illness, it is an unmistaken teaching, especially intended for our time. Okay, we'll stop here for today.
Padma Sodargye Bandhangara Padma Sodargye Bandhangara Padma Sodargye